Hey guys, Yishan here. In today's video, I wanted to talk about my tips that I have for you guys to become a better Yu-Gi-Oh player and achieve your Yu-Gi-Oh goals. I've got 4 concrete things that you can start doing right now, that you can implement right now, that you can start working on right now. No sort of, oh, just play better, learn from your mistakes. These are real concrete tips that I want to share with you. And so let's get started, shall we? So, why should you listen to me? Well, this may sound bad. I've played for 15 years and I've only recently gotten my first YCS top. But that means that I'm actually not the most naturally talented Yu-Gi-Oh player. I'm probably more like you. I go to my local game store when we could, about once a week. I'm not going crazy. I don't try to buy every single meta deck. I just play what I have and go to my local game shop. Sort of like a casual competitive player, if you will say. So, I'm not the most talented Yu-Gi-Oh player, but since I've had to learn everything by myself, I'm actually able to pass down this knowledge to you guys. And so another reason is that when I go to events, I usually play Gren Maju. I'm known as a Gren Maju, a main, if you will. And you do have to playing a road deck, you do usually have to play a little bit better than average to do well. So that's why you should listen to me. Let's get on to the first tip. Okay, my first tip for all you guys is learn the rules. And you might say, Yishan, I know the rules, but no, Yu-Gi-Oh is a very, very complicated game. And I think to really learn the rules, to learn all the rules, you need to take the judge test, become a judge, and judge an event. Because rules, when you're playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, and you're trying to win, rules are not only the card interactions, which you need to know plenty of those, and I suggest you study up on those, but they're also rules for just policy. Like, for example, Konami released a new policy document, and they said you can now double sleeve your cards, right? That's big news right now. And so the thing is that knowing these rules is extremely helpful. For example, did you know that judges can answer some types of questions for you? Like, for example, you can ask a judge for public knowledge on a card. Now, do you even know what public knowledge is? Did you know that if you activate Book of Moon on an opponent's monster and you ask them what's the attack of that monster, what's the defense of that monster, they don't have to answer. But let's say you Book of Moon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, and you say, what's the defense of Blue Eyes White Dragon? That actually is a question about public information. They have to answer that question truthfully. That's the kind of thing you can use to have the rules work in your favor. Another thing you can also do is you can ask a judge if a card is legally able to be activated. For example, if you have a danger and you want to know if you can activate it under Draw and Lockbird, you don't have to try and show your opponent the danger first before a judge is called over. You can actually ask a judge first before you even reveal the danger. So that's really some important things, policy things, and things that you can only really learn by going to an event, judging it, and understanding it from the perspective of a judge. So I recommend everyone try that. It's one of the main things that actually helped me become a much better Yu-Gi-Oh player. Okay, now I've got some ruling tests to test your rulings knowledge a little bit. And this is only a quarter of the video, but I wanted to test your guys' rulings just to show you how well you know the game or how little you know the game. And it's a huge advantage to know the interactions between cards because in a lot of ways, Yu-Gi-Oh is like chess. You need to calculate, you need to see a few interactions, a few chain links in advance, right? But if you don't even know how those chain links are going to work, you're gonna be at a disadvantage. And these are real situations that have come up and have mattered in my game. So first we have Invoked Makaba, Hermetic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, right? Basically, Hermetic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, it tributes itself to activate the effect to bounce a face-up card your opponent controls, and Invoked Makaba discards a monster card to negate that effect and try to banish that card. So there are 4 possible outcomes here. Let's see if you can figure out which one is correct. Is it A, Hermetic Seal is banished and won't be able to summon a dragon from the deck? B, Hermetic Seal is banished and will be able to summon a dragon from the deck? C, Hermetic Seal stays in the graveyard and won't be able to summon a dragon from the deck? And D, Hermetic Seal stays in the graveyard and won't be able to summon a dragon from the deck. Now, I will let you pause here and think about which one you would choose, right? If you need to look up the cards, go ahead, look up the cards. If you want to just enjoy the show, I will tell you that the answer is D. Hermetic Seal stays in the graveyard and will be able to summon a dragon from the deck. The hard part about this question is understanding that Hermetic Seal doesn't get banished even though Invoked Makaba specifies that it banishes the effect that's negated. And the reason that is because Erratic Seal actually changed locations from field to graveyard. It is not considered the same card. The Erratic Seal that's in the graveyard is not the same card that was on the field. Mecha Ball only banishes the card that it negated on the field, which doesn't exist anymore. So actually Erratic Seal will stay in the graveyard. So, tough rule. Next quick question. This is the last one, but I just want to show you that if you don't know these rules, that's something you need to start learning, start trying to become a judge, and it'll help you immensely do well at events. Okay, so Imperial Order, pretty much everyone knows what that does, is negate all spell effects on the field. And Will of the Salamangreat's got two effects. One of them, you just summon a Salamangreat, and the other one, you can send this to the graveyard and summon multiple Salamangreats. So it sends to graveyard as cost, right? So the main question is, what will Imperial Order negate? Will it negate both effects of Will of the Salamangreat? Will it negate neither of the effects of Will of the Salamangreat? Or will it negate one effect of Will of the Salamangreat and not negate the other effect? Well, I'll let you pause the video here again, unless you're here to just enjoy the show, in which I will reveal the answer. The answer is actually A. Both effects will be negated. Even though one of the effects tributes Will of the Salamangreat as a cost, the effect that was activated activates on the field. That means it stays on the field. That means it's considered a spell effect on the field. It will be negated by Imperial Order, even though Will of the Salamangreat is in the graveyard upon the resolution of the effect. So, if you guys are struggling with these sort of rules, if they're complicated for you, definitely try to become a judge. You'll learn so much, and not only that, you'll actually improve your gameplay as well. So, that's basically goal number one. Goal number two is have your goal be the next step up. And what do I mean by this? Well, I mean that your goal should be, you should have small incremental goals. And I say, top your OTS before you try to top your YCS. That's what I tell people is, listen, you need to set your goals as, maybe I'm going to get first place at my locals. That's my first goal, right? Okay. And once I get first place at my locals, maybe I can get my invite to a nationals. Okay. And then maybe if I get my invite to a nationals, maybe I can actually top a regional instead of getting an invite at a regional. Maybe I can actually top a. Maybe I can just make it to day 2 of a YCS. Maybe I can make it to top 32 of a YCS. Make your incremental goals. That'll help you much, much more. You say, okay, I've achieved this goal. Now let's work on the next step. So this actually helps, because if you're just saying, I want to top a YCS, but never even gotten your invite at a regional, that's probably not going to happen. Let's start small, and I promise things will come. If you're committed to trying to play better, success will come. Okay, so that's my second goal. And that sort of ties in to this third goal, or third tip, which is do not drop. Don't drop from a YCS or a regional just because you won't top. Okay, never ever do this, because first of all, there's a few reasons for this. You never ever want to go into a game with the attitude that if I lose, I'm going to drop, or if I win, I'm going to do this. Every game is exactly the same. You sit there, you play your best, and you move on, right? That's how you need to look at every game and around you. And so that's why if you start saying like, oh, I'm going to assign random significances to game, like, oh, I can't get my invite anymore. That was my goal, right? Well, I'm just going to drop now because I can't reach my goal. No. These games are very, very, very valuable practice. If you're like me and you don't go to that many YCSs or regionals a year, these games are extremely valuable practice. You're playing in a competitive environment, real life. You don't know your opponent's deck right from the bat. You don't know your opponent very well. And so it's really, really, really important that you don't drop. I know it's tempting to go to McDonald's. You're hungry, you're starving, whatever. But it's important because when you are put in the position where you can finally achieve your goal, when you can finally top that regional, get your invite, top a YCS, you don't want to be exhausted. You don't want to be surprised. You're like, man, I've never played 10 rounds before, that sort of thing. You want to be ready for that moment. And so I think that you should never, ever, ever drop from one of these big tournaments. Even if you're not going to reach your goal, play it out to the end and do your best. Right? Just do your best. I know this is one of the hardest ones to do because there's a lot of pressure to drop. A lot of your friends will be like, let's just drop and go get some food, But if you really, really want to get better, play it out to the end. You'll feel a big sense of reward after you finish. Even if you didn't get your goal, you're like, man, hey, I got 70th at that regional. Last time I got 100th. I'm improving, and you'll be able to see your micro improvements when the time comes for you to actually get that goal, to actually get that top. Then you'll be ready because you will have played and you'll have your endurance built up. So don't drop. That's tip number 3. My final tip for you guys, tip number 4, play some other card games. Okay, this one's a weird one because, a lot of people say, I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I want to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh! Why would I play something like Magic, Yishan? Well, there's actually been a lot of research done in about generalization versus specialization in humans. And it turns out that a lot of new revolutionary ideas have come from people who have learned generalization. They haven't been dedicated to one specialization in their life, but they've actually been able to combine things from multiple aspects of their life to come up with a new concept. For example, deck building is something I've gotten much better at in Yu-Gi-Oh! From playing Magic, because Magic has a totally different set of principles, totally different types of cards, and totally differs in how you build your decks, right? But when you learn that, you can see like, oh, I see how this game evaluates cards. And when you go back to Yu-Gi-Oh! You say, well, this is actually a good situation in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where these Magic principles, these Magic deck building principles apply really well. So for example, I'm usually credited with creating this current rank 8 style Grand Maju strategy. I started with Golden Castle Grand Maju. I have to say that if I didn't play Magic the Gathering, I would not have come up with that strategy. Just playing other types of games helps you focus in, helps you build your understanding of deck building, your understanding of card games, just your general understanding. It helps a lot. So definitely play some other card games. Steve Jobs once said that a calligraphy class he took in college was the most valuable class when it came to designing the user interface for iPhones. I mean, just think about that. That's like totally random, but like these sort of things will help you in your Yu-Gi-Oh! Game more than just grinding and playing, pointless matches where you don't learn anything. It's really important sometimes to take a step back, try to learn how other card games work, and then see if you can apply that to Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, guys, that is it for my 4 tips on how to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh! These tips, like most things in life, are really simple to implement, but not easy, right? And so try your best. Try not to drop. Learn those rules. Try judging. It's hard, but try. Hey, you get paid too, so you might as well. Hey, it's worth it. Try all those things. Don't drop. Play some other card games. Learn your rules, and I will see you guys in the next video. Maybe at the next YCS where you're topping as well. Until next time, guys. Peace.